As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Learn to use the power you have and take charge of your life. Do you want to have a lot of power? Or do you want to reach a certain goal, like writing your first book? Advice books usually tell you to follow clear steps and do certain things to reach your goals, like making a list of your priorities, cleaning and organizing your desk, or practicing your networking skills at the next conference. As a Man Thinketh instead tries to help you see how powerful you already are. You'll learn how your thoughts affect everything in your life, from how strong your character is and how healthy you are to how well you do in the arts and how your life turns out. And you'll learn how to make the most of all this freedom. You'll also find out why your mind is like a garden, how your thoughts can make you look older than you are, and what's so great about being a dreamer. We can change our lives by taking charge of our thoughts. Have you ever stopped to think about what makes us humans who we are? It's a hard question, so here's a hint. A person is the sum of all his or her thoughts. Just like a plant grows from a small seed, everything we do comes from what we think. Patterns can be seen in how people act. In turn, these patterns shape who we are as people. Our personality or character starts with what we think. But why does it matter? Well, have you ever met someone who always seemed to give up on projects or relationships and had a pretty negative outlook? You guessed it, attitude and action go hand in hand. People who don't do well tend to let themselves down because they don't think much of themselves to begin with. Attitude problems often get worse over time and have serious effects. But there is a very easy way to fix it. Since our thoughts shape who we are, it makes sense that if we change the way we think, so will we. People who are always down might find that they have more to smile about if they change the way they think. Anyone who tries to control his thoughts can do a lot more than just get rid of bad habits. When a person works on his thoughts in the right way, he can even reach what the author calls divine perfection. In other words, a person can bring joy, strength, peace, and wisdom into his life by getting rid of bad or useless thoughts. Those are some pretty good reasons to like it. So why not start getting control of your thoughts right now? After all, the other choice isn't pretty. If you don't control your thoughts, they can turn you into your biggest problem. A bad attitude can literally destroy the things you care about and love. We don't just change the world we live in, we also change it. Have you ever been terrible at something and blamed it on the weather, a bad phone call with your mother, or a bad memory from your childhood? We all tend to blame our mistakes on things outside of ourselves. Even though it might make us feel better, it only moves us backwards. Our circumstances, or all the outside things that affect our lives, have a lot to do with who we are. But they don't have the connection you might think they do. It's easy to think that our past experiences and where we live make us who we are. But the truth is that we change the world just as much as the world changes us. Our character has a lot to do with the kinds of situations we end up in. We are not just the result of what happens to us. So, if you end up in jail, it's not because of what happened in the outside world or because of fate. Instead, the things that got you in trouble were the things you thought and felt about the outside world. Of course, it's not always easy to tell whether a person's personality or their situation is more important in a given situation. We all know people who have good hearts but still go through terrible things. We also know that many people who are greedy and not honest live happy lives, surrounded by money and admirers. This means that you can't figure out a person's character by looking at her life. In the same way, we can't always tell where someone will end up by looking at their character. People who are in jail often have bad traits. But some of them are also good in some ways. Focusing on the good will help you reach your health goals and other goals as well. Some people age well, while others, to put it mildly, don't. Bad habits, not being able to get medical care, and having bad genes all play a part. But there's one thing we often forget to think about: how we feel. We've already seen how much our thoughts shape both who we are and the things that happen to us. So, it shouldn't be a surprise that our thoughts also affect our bodies. Unhappy thoughts can make you feel bad in a lot of ways. Your heart rate goes up, you sleep less well, you get headaches, and yes, you get wrinkles from all that frowning. On the other hand, thinking happy, light, and energetic thoughts is powerful enough to make us feel happier and younger. So, if you want to feel better about your body, try thinking about how good you want to feel in general. Getting your thoughts in the right direction is important if you want to reach any kind of goal. Whether you want to reach new heights at work, in your relationships, or in your spiritual life, you won't be able to do so unless you keep your mind on your goal. This means you have to let go of any thoughts that take your mind off your goals. If you realize that a certain thought is getting in the way of your goal, like by making you afraid, pessimistic, or unsure, you need to get rid of it. At first, this isn't easy. But your mind is like a muscle, With practice, you can train it to think more effectively, positively, and on purpose. We are the only ones WHO can make sure we succeed, so dream big. Outside things don't make us who we are or cause us to make mistakes. This may seem like a very heavy load, though. Are we to blame for all of our mistakes? This doesn't seem like a very helpful way to look at things, so let's try something else. If we think we're being hurt, we're more likely to feel and act like victims, which means we'll keep getting hurt. But if we don't let ourselves feel like victims, it's harder for others to make us their victims. So, it's very important for us to know that we have the power to set ourselves free. We should always stay true to our values and ideals, no matter what. Our dreams, which are our highest hopes, give us the drive to make our goals come true. That's why it's so important to keep dreamers around and to keep your own dreams alive. Our world wouldn't be as interesting as it is without poets, painters, and musicians. When we dream, we can also find out about new worlds. After all, Columbus wanted to find a new world. Without this dream, he never would have found it on his travels. If you can control your thoughts, you can change your character and your circumstances for the better. If you focus your thoughts on what you want to accomplish and let yourself dream, you'll find that life has a new quality, serenity. Someone who has learned to live with, and well with, his thoughts has a calm way of being. There's no doubt that it's worth the time it takes to get there. Conclusions. Our lives depend on what we think. The things we think about shape who we are, what we can do, what happens to us, and even how healthy we are physically. By learning to think in better ways, we can also change our own lives. What you should do to put what you've learned to use. Start weeding. If you're feeling tired and cranky, it's time to pull some weeds. Not in the garden, but in your head. Can you think of things that hurt you? If they are hurting or just getting in the way, take them out. This lets you train your mind and keep a positive attitude that moves you toward the life you want. Thanks for watching.